All right, so again, welcome. We're going to talk today about how to get more new patients using Google so we can help your practice expand. This is something we do every single day at Practice Promotions. So let's jump into this here. So hopefully this isn't too many of the people on the call here, but if one of the things that can really make or break a clinic with revenue is the empty spots that are in your therapist's schedule. So we want our therapists to be busy, productive, helping a lot of people, and able to maintain those people in the clinic. But it's ultimately, your service business is about keeping the beds full, keeping the appointment slots full there, and then making sure that we're getting a good outcome at the end of the day for our patients. We need to improve your practice's ability to attract more new patients online using Google searches. And so this is something you should be putting a lot of effort in today's world. Today's online world is absolutely critical in how you're using Google to improve your ability to get in front of people. So right now, there's actually thousands of people in your community that are searching online for help with their pain or problem. The ultimate question is, will they find you and your practice? The better you can answer this question, the more successful you will be in your practice. Just a little bit about me. I'm Neil Trickett. This is my beautiful wife, Amy. We're both PTs of over 20 years. We had a practice for 8 years in South Florida that we built up there and were successful with and sold and transitioned out of that. And we saw at the time that we did a lot of different things in marketing. People were asking us how we did our marketing, and it planted the seed that there really wasn't much help for practices, specifically, physical therapy and rehabilitation practices for marketing back then, right? So we went into that. We got ourselves more well-versed in it. And now offered a service to those practices, and that's Practice Promotions. And we've grown that up over 11 years. Right now, we've built it to servicing over 1,400 clinic locations across North America, both in the US and Canada. And we're having a lot of fun with that, helping a lot of people, and excited to do so. All right, so let's talk about why you should focus on Google. Well, first, it's really about online discoverability of your practice, your clinic. How well found is that online compared to the hundreds or thousands of other choices that there are for searches as people are looking for help, right? This allows you to increase your ability to go direct to consumers. So obviously, we've seen it over the decades how physician referrals have withered down, right? And the ability of a practice to go more direct to the consumer is absolutely critical in today's world. So how well you're commanding that dictates how successful your practice will be. And the thing to realize is that people on Google are actively searching for help. The first thing that comes to mind when you're looking for a service or help or an idea, you Google it, right? So everybody else is doing that. And it's different than browsing on social media for other things. So social media, people are on there for usually entertainment, right? And you can get some exposure on social media platforms, and that's great, right? That's a good public relations action, making sure you get in front of people that didn't think about you that were before. But we can get in front of a lot of people who are actively searching for some type of solution to their problem. And if they can find you better on Google, that's really going to move the needle in terms of people coming in. So in terms of Google, there was over 2.5 trillion searches per year. That's kind of mind-blowing. And here's what that number looks like. So if you think about every year, that many searches are occurring online. So how can you tap into that capability? And here's some great stats. So basically, when people start looking for health information, where do they look? Well, they start on search engines first. 77% of people are going to start with a search engine when it comes to looking for health information, right? So that's where, again, you want to be king on Google. And one thing to realize is that it's not just young people, right? More people are searching for health advice across all age groups every year. And so if we look at the graph here on the left, you can see 2015 to 2020 data, all ages, whether they're 16 to 85 or 65 to 74, 75 to 85 years old, they are all trending upwards in the volume of people that are searching online for health advice. So if you rank your practice better in search engines, you will increase people visiting your website. You're going to build trust that you are the best, because let's face it, if you see something that you're a clinic that you're searching for online, and you see multiple instances of that clinic on page 1 of Google, you're going to think that that is the best choice for you because they're everywhere, right? And so that builds trust. And you can actually generate a lot more calls to your practice from Google and Google advertising. So that's another critical component to people's behaviors. As they're searching, they're more likely to call or take action that way. So let's see some examples here. When you focus on your Google rankings and your improvements there, these are some clients, and you can see here, for example, just how much volume that they can increase within a short amount of time. So you can literally double the number of people that are coming to your website. For example, this client went from, in about a year's time, 1,000 people visiting their website a month to 3,000 people visiting their website a month. So just imagine how much more impact that can have in people connecting with your clinic. So the question is for yourself, like, how can I rank my practice better in Google? Like, what goes into this? So first off, we got to look at what are the components here of searching and search engine optimization. So we've got SEO. You might have heard that term before. It means search engine optimization. And that basically pertains to our 3-pack over here, which is your local rankings. And then we've got our top 10 organic rankings, right? So everything we're doing here to try and get your clinic to rank higher, this is called SEO, right? And this is a long-term game. It's something you're always working on because you're battling for the top, right? You're battling against other clinics, you're battling against other services, gizmos, gadgets, you name it, right? So you're trying to rank up there higher your clinic. And then we've got the top here, and Google over time has become more of a pay to play. And that's what they base their model off of. So they want you to be advertising with them so that you will get displayed in front of people that can have relevant searches. And this is called SEM, or search engine marketing, and is an absolute must for any small business today to make sure that they're getting in front of the necessary people. But here's the thing with SEO, it does take constant work. And this is because Google itself averages 500 to 600 updates per year, with 3 major core updates on average in a year. So for example, in 2021, there were 3 major ones, and those had huge impacts on ranking. So what worked today doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work tomorrow, and you have to constantly making adjustments in your website and other SEO strategies just to keep up there at the top. So here's an example of how that impact can happen. So this was the Google Vicinity update, and it really was the most impactful update in 5 years. So a huge, huge update that was released. This actually occurred at the end of last year and trickled over to the beginning of this year. And you might have even noticed this if you were Googling yourselves, like, hey, why am I not ranking like I used to? And this is because Google actually shrunk the geographic search areas for businesses, especially like small business, local business, right? And where you can see on the left here, where a clinic used to rank, 1, 2, 3 in a larger area around their clinic, so miles and miles and miles. Now that shrunk considerably to where Google would rank them well within a smaller area, maybe only up to like 3-5 miles at most. And then beyond that, it would lessen the rankings for that business. So this is what people are up against now, and you have to be creative in how you can overcome some of these challenges. But this is the world in which the Google searches are today. So basically a 2 to 4 mile spread around the clinic location is where you can have the most impact on SEO. But this is where Google Ads can really help you overcome some of those limitations that have gone into place. So why is SEO a big deal? Well, 75% of organic clicks occur on the top 3 positions of Google. So if we're looking at that top 10 part, not even including local, within the top 10 part, if you can be in the top 3 there, 75% of the clicks are going to happen there. So again, it's a battle to get to the top and stay at the top for that. So in order to rank your practice better in Google, you really have to constantly optimize. And what do we mean by optimize? What does that mean? Well, we use what's called keywords, key phrases, to help you rank at the top. So these are common words that people are using to search. So for example, like physical therapy near me or best physical therapist, those are common keywords in our industry. But there's also a lot that people do search with that aren't so specific. And that's going to be related to their condition. So back pain relief, rotator cuff injury. Just think of the volume of people that are actually searching for those things versus the specifics of, hey, I'm going to go find a physical therapist, right? We can tap into a lot more people if we focus with what's called a condition-based content strategy. And in this case, we're looking at how we can leverage our website, leverage other things to get people to find us that are searching for these conditions, right? And if you do it well, as you can see here on the left, we can significantly increase lots of different words that people are searching for, and that's going to put your practice in front of a lot more people. So we coined this phrase here at the SEO Trinity, and this is what search engine optimization really comes down to. And these are things that are definitely within your control that you can work on constantly and help your clinic be in front of a lot more people. So the first off is website optimization. We'll talk about that here in a minute in terms of what things you can be doing there. The second is Google Business Profile. It used to be called Google My Business. Now it's Google Business Profile. And what you can do there to optimize that. That's going to help you a lot with your local searches. And then third is what's called listings, citations, and backlinking. And this is basically where your business information is just found across the internet. And the more that it's found, the more Google likes you, the more it will rank you. So first off, we want to work towards optimizing your website. So these are things that are definitely things that you can work on within your website. And this is where you might have heard the phrase on-page optimization. What that means is you're basically just working on pages on your website to help that particular page rank better up in Google. So what we like to focus on in practice promotions is help our clients really do a lot more with condition-based content. And so that's, again, back to what most people are searching for. They're searching for, how can I help my back? How can I help my neck, my knee? That's what a lot of people are searching for. So if you have a lot of those deep pages on your website that have great content on them and are really optimized around that word, for example, like here on the left, you can see we've got a hip and knee pain page, right? So there's got a lot of those keywords around hip and knee pain. That's going to help that particular page rank better on Google. And now people who weren't even thinking about physical therapy are going to come and find you on that. Another example, like back pain page, your keywords you might have is low back pain, sciatica. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have that page stuffed with lots of different words. That doesn't work anymore. It used to way back in the day, but today it doesn't work. You want to focus around some of the big ones. So low back pain, sciatica are some of the big searched terms, and you want to put most of your effort into just say 2 or 3 core keywords on that page that you can write your content around, but you don't want to stuff it with lots and lots of types of wording there. That's not going to help. The other thing that Google will look at in optimizing your website, things that you can work on your back end, is the behind the scenes information and on the page that the Google crawls. So Google's not only looking at what's the great information that's on the website, but it's also looking at how easy is it for the person to actually come through your website and experience it. And so the speed of your website is a huge factor here, especially on mobile, right? That can really help your rankings. If your website's say older than 2 or 3 years, you really need to get that redesigned, revamped, because the technology of today, it changes so fast, and that impacts the speed of your website and the searchability of your website. So even though you might say, hey, I don't need to update my website, it's still great from 4 or 5 years ago and we get people through it. Well, you could be getting more if you updated it and increased the coding and the speeding on the back end. Also, the behavior of the person as they come to the website. Google looks at this. So for example, if the person comes to the page and then just leaves, that's called a bounce, right? So if people come to your website, they don't engage with it much, and then they just leave, Google doesn't like that. It's not going to serve you up as much. But if that person does start to look around on your website, spend longer, looks at other pages, then that's good. Google likes that, and it's going to rank you higher. So bounce rates here that are greater than 70% are not good. If you can be above 50%, that's good. 50 to 60 is actually pretty good in terms of a bounce rate. So as I mentioned, it's really a good practice to update your website every 2 years to keep up with speed and technology improvements. So what we do for our clients is we actually do a revamp of their website every couple of years, just to put them on the latest coding and the latest platforms that we're constantly redeveloping every year, because the technology in today's world just changes so fast. So that's all around the one part of the SEO Trinity, which is optimizing your website. Let's talk about now about Google Business, right? And what you can do there to improve your profile. So Google Business is really one of the best ways to improve your local searches, right? And remember, the local searches is that 3-pack with the maps that's on a search. This is really critical for people that are on a mobile device. So it can really help, again, get your business in front of a lot more people. And people do check out your business in Google My Business or Google Business before they will come in and make a decision or reach out to call. So even though they may, go to your website, check it all out, they're really interested, they may not call from the website, they may not fill out a form on the website, they may go to your Google Business profile next, check out your reviews, any things that you have on there, and then they'll make the decision to call, right? So it's in marketing, it's all about building these layers of different interactions that people have with you. So spending some time on your Google Business profile is key. And one area I see a lot of practices weak in their Google Business is images. So you should be taking a lot of pictures within your practice, working with patients, the facility, the interaction with people is really key. Of course, you need to get, the photo consent form just signed off and things like that when you're taking a picture of a patient. But the more ammunition you have there of all these great internal pictures and show people the experience of coming to your practice, the better. And you want to put a lot of those images into your Google Business profile, because that's going to help people see right away, like, oh, wow, look at how it is at this place. Again, you can use those type of pictures in your website, in your other types of marketing, social media, things like that, but it's really critical. The other part of Google Business, what you need to work on, is categories and descriptions. So the primary one for PT practice is physical therapy clinic, but do you offer sports medicine? Do you offer fitness? Do you offer massage? So there's lots of different categories that you could add to your Google Business profile. And guess what? You're going to get served up on a lot more searches if you have more categories and descriptions. And you can add actually different descriptions in there that are not just tied into the categories, or even kind of make up your own categories. Say, for example, like around back pain programs, or ACL rehab programs, whatever it may be, but you can actually add a lot in there. Bottom line is, the more information is in there, the more Google's going to like you. Reviews. We all know reviews are critical in today's world, really key to the success of your practice, but we don't necessarily put enough intent on getting reviews from our patients on a frequent basis. So for Google Business, what they like to see is not necessarily a volume of reviews, but more consistency of reviews. So instead of trying to just push to have a massive amount of online reviews all at one time and then not do anything for 6 months, you're better off trying to get 1 or 2 reviews a week and have that be in place. And your team should really be asking for them. So you should create programs and incentives with your teams, your therapist, your front desk, to just be asking for reviews in the clinic. And then, of course, there's automation, there's different systems and things that you can use to ask for reviews, like in PT Wired, they've got a great one in there. But that's sort of like a backup to what's happening in the clinic. And then Google Q&A. This is a kind of a newer feature in the last year, but a great place for you to start and add common questions like, hey, what insurances do you guys take? Or, where are you located close to? Things like that. What should I bring to my first appointment? So you can build those out. Again, make sure there's like good keywords in there. That's going to help you. The next part with Google Business is what's called NAP, right? And you're like, what the heck is NAP? Well, it really stands for the name, the address, and the phone number of the business. And this really can help you with your local searchability. And what Google wants to see is that especially your address is 100% the same what's in your Google Business profile as to what's on your website. So if you spell out suite, for example, like suite 107, if you have it as STE on your Google Business profile, but on your website it's SUITE, that's not good. Make it exactly the same, STE. That's just going to, again, help you with your local searches. So your website name, address, and phone number should be exactly the same as it is on Google profile. So that's the second component of that SEO Trinity. The third is what's called listing citations and backlinks. This gets a little bit more nerdy, but it's part of what helps you get in front of a lot more people, right? So this is how your business information is displayed across the internet. So think about, how do people pull up your business information in Yelp, right? Or if they're in Uber, or it's in the car navigation system, like how did it get there? Well, it's pulled from business directories on the internet. And so this is like Apple Maps, Waze, Uber, Yellow Pages, Yahoo. Like the more that your business information is out on these systems, Google actually crawls those and finds that, and it will match it back to what it's seeing on your website as well as on the Google Business profile. And guess what? The more of these that you have, the more you'll rank. But here's the critical thing with these is that it's such a complicated thing where all this business information goes and gets filtered around and shared. The data is often wrong or missing. So many directors may have incomplete or wrong information. Let's say, for example, you took over leasing a space 3 years back, and on some of these directories, it still has the old business that used to lease that space. Well, that's not good, right? That hurts your Google rankings. So you need to make sure that those directories are updated with the most, up-to-date information. This is where you can use what's called listing software. It helps synchronize your business information across these different directories. And again, it can help you build what's called citations. And that ultimately improves your listing score and your rankings. So that's all about the SEO component here. But now let's dive in a little bit about using Google Ads, right? So in today's world, to attract more new patients online, your clinic must be advertising on Google to supplement the SEO. So where people don't use this is where they maybe tried it themselves, they get bad results, like, oh, it's a waste of money. They got burned in the past with the marketing agency that didn't know how to do it properly for that particular, PT industry. So this is where we see people not taking advantage of this. But I can tell you, in today's world, you absolutely have to be doing this. And here's why again. So you're going to rank well, if you do it right, in the map and the 10 spot here with SEO. But look here on this page. There's usually 4 ads at the top and sometimes an ad in the local. So guess what people are going to see first? They're going to see the top, right? And then they'll start to go down. So that's why it's important to do SEM, search engine marketing, so that you can get your clinic not only in the 10 spot, but actually command more positions on page 1 of Google. And think for yourself, right? If I was a patient and I saw an ad at the top, I saw an ad in the local map, and then I see the clinic's name in the local map here with great reviews, and then I see him at the top of the top 10, who am I going to choose, right? I'm going to go with the one that has their information all over the place. They must be good, right? So that's why it's important to use Google advertising. Also, the thing with Google advertising, it definitely helps you to reach more people on Google. And here's why, right? So remember we talked about the Google Vicinity update. And so when it comes to regular searches, we've got that restriction now of how far people will be able to find your clinic on Google searches, around, like a geographic radius around your clinic. But the cool thing with Google advertising is you can actually target by zip codes, or you can target by radius around your clinic. So if you're pulling people from 10 miles away, then you can actually advertise 10 miles outside of your clinic. So you'll be able to get in front of people who wouldn't be able to see you necessarily on the organic searches. So that's why, again, to combat that Google Vicinity update, Google advertising really helps. So when it comes to Google Ads, here's what you should be focusing on. You should have physical therapy campaigns, right? And these are specific campaigns like, physical therapy near me and physical therapy in your specific town. and best physical therapy. Those are some like keyword examples that you would use on Google Ads. But you also want to be doing condition-specific campaigns. So this is where you might have campaigns around back pain, shoulder pain, or rotator cuff, or knee pain. Now, one caveat here is that usually you just give yourself a budget for Google. So I recommend, depending on the size of your clinic, usually between $600 to $1,000 a month you should be spending on Google advertising. Now, if you're a bigger clinic, multiple locations, you need to be thinking about that per clinic, right? So you can have some overlap and things like that, but your budget needs to increase as your need for more new patients increases, right? So what you don't want to do is you don't want to blow your budget on lots of different words and not have enough power behind them. So you're actually better off, this is where we do it too, is like kind of having these two main campaigns. And then for the condition specific campaigns, limiting it to like, 2 or 3 main body parts that the most things that you see. So if you do like, hey, we'd love to have more ACLs, or we'd love to have a few more TMJs. Yes, if you want to put that on there, you can, but you're gonna take away that budget from those other words. And so it's really about getting in front of the most people that you can. And so my caveat there is just keep it narrow. Don't go too broad with your advertising, or you're going to blow your money. And so the thing with ads is really about finding the right patient at the right time with the right ad. And that's going to be based on how they're searching. And that's obviously going to help you get that person in the clinic. So here's an example here of a clinic just over the last 30 days, able to generate 26 actual new or returning patient phone call leads with their Google Ads specifically for about a $900 budget. So that costs about $37 to get that new patient in the door, which is incredibly cheap. So it just shows you the power of using Google Ads combined with good SEO, good website experience. It can really go a long way into making it pretty inexpensive to get a new patient in the door. Now, it doesn't mean you spend less, right? You're actually spending on Google advertising now. You're spending on these other things, but your volume of new patients would go up substantially because you're working on that. And your cost per new patient acquisition gets a lot lower. So one of the things, again, that we see with Google advertising is that you can definitely waste a lot of money on this. And this is why a lot of people stop doing Google ads, is because, hey, I'll put a campaign together. Google has a lot of stuff where you can start on your own and, you can try it. They don't usually produce that well for what you're paying. And then you say, you know what, it's not working. I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not going to waste money on that. That's because the ads themselves are complex, and the way that they're served up is complex, and it needs consistent monitoring because, again, this is always a battle for the top. So there's changes in the way that things are bid, the way things are structured, and we need to keep that constant monitoring with someone who knows what they're doing on it to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your dollar. And here's one thing: if you do try it yourself, don't follow all the Google recommendations, because they want you to spend more money. That's Google's position, right? So they're going to give you all these recommendations, and they might have you advertising on gaming platforms and YouTube platforms that are definitely not geared towards what you need to get in front of your ideal patient. So just something to keep in mind there, that don't follow all Google recommendations. They're going to have you spend a lot more money. So that's why it's really good to look at using expert help. We help a lot of clinics with this. You can use local marketing agencies and stuff like that too. The one thing I found with that is that local marketing agencies really don't know our industry that well. So again, they can get some of the core things okay, but some of these other condition-based stuff they struggle with. All right, so coming back here, let's circle back. Definitely want to get more new patients, and you can do this by leveraging the power of Google. Specifically, you can work on dominating that page 1 of Google. Use the SEO Trinity, right, that we talked about here: websites, Google My Business or Google Business Profile, and listings and citations there. And then leverage Google Ads, leverage SEM, right, to help you broaden your advertising reach. So we'll just cover a few things here, and then we'll get into some questions. So here at Practice Promotions, we help clinics of all different sizes, from startups all the way through 100 clinic location practices. enterprise type practices. And, like I said, we have our 1,400 clinic locations. And so we've been able to really dial in what works for a PT, OT, speech, chiro type clinic, right? And it really comes down to our core strategy here on the left, that everything that we do falls in these key 5 buckets. And then we have our ultimate system here where we do improvements to websites, digital marketing, email, newsletters, blogs, all those good things there that really help you connect with new people coming in, as well as all your patients that you've seen before, getting them to come back in and refer friends and family. And then the thing that really makes us different is that we have a lot of service behind it. So we have actually over 90 people on our team that help service our clients, and everything from digital account managers to print account managers, SEO specialists, Google Ads specialists. So, it's really hard to do that on your own, having that big of a team to help support you in all these marketing creative efforts. But that's what we do for practices at a great price. So if you'd like to learn more about what we can do to help you, just go check out practicepromotions.net, and you can go /PT-wired. You'll get in there, talks about how we worked with PT Wired there, and also some of the things that we do. On there, you'll be able to actually request some samples, and I encourage you to request our sample kit here. We've got lots of cool patient newsletter examples in there, cracking the code to more new patients, a lot of good marketing tools, and you also get subscription to our practice newsletter, the marketing newsletter that we send out on a monthly basis. So again, check it out, practicepromotions.net /PT-wired. And so what we'll do now is we'll open things up to questions from our folks here. So if you want to pop that in the chat section here, we'd love to take your questions and answer those.
Yeah, and while those are coming in, just want to say thanks, Neil, and a couple other things. I think on that website you'll see some of the integrations that we have between Practice Promotions and PT Wired. Like, they put up a really nice web page for, like, specifically for the app. Obviously, everybody in here has an app through us, through PT Wired, so they put up like a nice web page on that. Rack cards with the QR codes that people can get. Many other things that you'll see on there. And yeah, that was really great, Neil. And I love the combination of, like, the really simple things that everybody can do, like, make sure your Google page has images of the clinic, like simple thing, but you mentioned it, and I was like, man, that's not something that I would have probably thought of. Like, need to make sure I've got good, nice photos of my clinic, because that's something anybody can do, all the way to the really complex things like, the backlinks and setting up a nice Google ad campaign that, you definitely want to get in touch with you on. So yeah, I learned a lot from that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it can be really overwhelming and complicated. And obviously, as practice owners, we're focusing on everything else we need to focus on in the clinic. So, for these types of things where you're working about, SEO, you're working about SEM, that's where it's good to have outside help. Even at Practice Promotions, we use specialists and consultants, right? Because we can't know it all ourselves. And so that's one thing that I had as a business owner in my practice, as well as working with Practice Promotions, is that you need to get better yourself at business and understand marketing, understand how things work. But you need to also realize, like, hey, I need to work with, consultants and people that are specialists in these areas, like compliance and things like that, right? And so it just really helps at the end of the day for you to get busy in your clinic. So awesome. Thank you so much. We had a great question there. What a client. Love the plan, everything you do for us. How do we take advantage of advertising on Google? Just reach out to your account manager. They can talk to you about actually our new ultimate plan, which includes that advertising on Google and how we do all that campaign. They'll do a little demo with you of our program and how that works. So yeah, just reach out to your account manager. They'll take care of you with that and get you to the right person. Thanks for your question there. All right, do we have any other questions or things I can help you with? I just like to hear also. Go ahead, Vikram.
One question for me while more people chime in here. How long would you typically say it takes once you kind of implement some of these website strategies for changes to take place within Google rankings?
Yeah, so this is always a great question because we want things done yesterday, right? And we're looking for immediate impact in our clinic. And so what's really important to know with Google is that things can happen quickly. They can also take time. All right. So SEO, if you're an already established practice and have had fairly good rankings on Google, that's something that within, like a month, you can start to do much better. If you're new or you have new clinics that you're opening up into new areas, those clinics are going to take longer on Google to rank. It might take 2-3 months for things to really get some traction. So again, it just depends on your circumstances. If you're a startup clinic, again, that's something that can just take some time with Google for it to increase. That's why it's, again, important to use Google Ads, because it can supplement that time. And so Google Ads is sort of like your short game, and SEO is your long game, right? All right, so question here from a marketing manager. Yeah, so we work with lots of marketing managers too within the clinic. They love to understand about Google advertising, how to best communicate the advantages with the practice owner so they understand the value of budgeting for ads. Okay, so great question here, because a lot of times from the marketing manager standpoint, like they see these things, they can see how it impacts, but how do they translate that to the practice owner, help them get on the same page, because at the end of the day, they're one going to pay for it, right, with the advertising budget. So I think what's the best thing there is to look backwards, right? So like, hey, we have a goal of this many new patients we need to bring in. If we can bring in more, right, what does our cost per new patient want to be, right? And so if we use Google advertising, it's going to help us get in front of more people. I think what I showed you here today, and this is recorded, we'll send this out afterwards, so you can actually, share that with the practice owner. But maybe specifically the part about the Google Vicinity update, where we're talking about how, from a search engine standpoint, we just can't rank that far anymore from our clinic location. So, we want to tap into more people that are, say, 3, 4, or 5 miles away from the clinic, or maybe even a bit more. How can we do that? Or if there's a certain section of town that we know we get people from, but how can we, be more visible there? Well, we can target zip codes with Google Ads and get ourselves in front of that. So if you can help the practice owner see that we can have this exposure and pull people in from different parts of town, I think that would be really helpful. And then let's come back with a realistic budget here. Let's look at what we want to get as a cost per new patient. And then I think that's a great way to start that conversation. Excellent question.
Yeah, great question.
All right, so I hope this was helpful to you. Any last questions before we wrap up here? All right, great. Well, thank you everybody for being on the call today. Again, I hope this was really helpful for you. Thank you, Vikram, so much for hosting here. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with your customers and everybody on the call here. Always a pleasure to work with you. And so thanks everybody. If you have any questions, just reach out. Again, just go to practicepromotions./PTwired, and we'll be able to answer any of those for you.
Cool. Thanks so much,
Right.
Neil. I'll see you at
Vikram.
PTS.
All right, take care. Thank you, everybody.